All right.
Yep.
Normally I say good morning. I'm saying good evening and happy Wednesday night. It's 5:31. Raylene, JD, both with you.
Hello.
Yeah, thanks for catching the Aired Out podcast. Right there on your screen in front of you are our presenting sponsors, of which without them, we just simply wouldn't be doing this. I mean, it's that simple, really. That's what it comes down to, Raylene.
Yes,
I
it
think
is.
I think you would agree.
Yes.
We love them
Very blessed.
and our supporting sponsors as well. We love them as well. This morning, I think there were a good number of Vermonters that thought that that I was either
Had lost your freaking mind?
had lost my mind. Maybe I was, I don't know, smoking something, hallucinating in some way,
Yes.
shape, or form.
Yes.
That I was high on something. Maybe I didn't get enough sleep the night before. I don't know what they were thinking, but they, and good reason, because I was a little half-whacked this morning. I was saying
So we were having a typical morning here on Air
it was,
Out.
it was typical.
Yeah.
It was
yeah.
typical.
Yeah.
I was saying this morning that while I was driving in, that I swore that I was seeing a balloon, and I was jokingly saying that it was the Russians. I think I said
The
that
Chinese.
it was the Chinese.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't know if it was like a hot air balloon, like a recreational hot air balloon, or
Well, at first you didn't think so because it was so high and that wouldn't be typical. And because it was a little chilly out this morning, you were like, nah, I don't know.
Yeah.
That somebody would be crazy enough to be out there this morning.
It was a lot more than just a little chilly. It was like it was outrageous.
But we both agreed that it didn't matter how chilly it was. If you had the opportunity, you would have been in that balloon.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So we during the day today, you and I got texting, and we got some Facebook response, and we had some folks saying, "Oh, I think I know who that is."
Well, he chimed in.
Yeah, Aaron Johnson,
Uh-huh.
and I think we got him right here. Hey, buddy,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Hey, man, thank you so much for joining us on the air.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
What in the hell were you doing up over 1,000 feet in the air this morning at whatever o'clock up in a hot air balloon, buddy? It was 20 degrees. What's going on? What are you thinking?
Well, the balloon has more lift when it's colder.
Oh, is that the excuse?
There you go. There you go. See, I knew there was going to be a good reason.
I got Raylene here with me. I know you guys were chatting a little bit today, back and forth. You're the balloonist. You were the ones. You were the one that was behind the controls on this thing, right?
That is correct.
So tell us, and we're showing a picture of it right now on our screen. But tell us, just about you a little bit, and how long you've been doing this.
Well, a friend of ours is a fisherman down in South Carolina, and he found this thing out in the ocean, and he brought it to us and found out it was a balloon, and we fixed it up, and we're good to go. But the directions are really hard to read. They're in Chinese.
Oh my God! You had to scuba dive for it.
Yeah. Had a few bullet holes in it.
So,
Yeah.
Right.
So Aaron, who were you alone in this balloon?
No, I had my friend Jordan with me.
And Jordan is still with you right now.
Correct.
So tell me about Jordan. It was just the two of you?
Yeah. So what happened last night? This is Jordan.
Hey, Jordan.
We were hanging out here at the airport in Post Mills, Vermont, and we were looking out over the runway, the beautiful grass runway, and we just said, "Is there any better field in Vermont than the one right here. And Aaron said, well, you're not from Vermont. You haven't seen the fields that I have. And I said, well, we better go take a full survey of the state. So we woke up at 4 o'clock this morning, went all the way out to New York State, and decided to fly across the width of the whole state. And we every field we passed, we gave it a rating 1 to 5 to look for the best ones. And we had to go from coast to coast before we found the best one.
Nice.
So you guys began the morning where now, in Vershire?
Actually, Post Mills,
In Post Mills.
at the Post Mills Airport.
Nice.
So that's where you got the day started, and you said, we're driving, let's get up and drive to Crown Point, New York.
Correct.
Why Crown Point?
It's a pretty cool spot. We fly out of there. Tried to do it every year in the wintertime. Fly over the Lake Champlain.
Okay, so where Raylene and I are coming from, and maybe a few others, are who the hell is hot air ballooning during the winter? I mean, who does this kind of stuff?
Aaron.
Other than
Aaron and Jordan.
I know. I mean, seriously. I mean, I didn't know that balloonists would fly during the winter. I would guess it would be too cold. It was 20 degrees in my car, and I looked down and I'm like, if that's a recreational hot air balloon up there, those guys are freezing their nads off.
I mean, between the two of us, we've flown about 30 days this year up
Oh,
in the
wow.
up in Vermont. So I mean, we do it on average multiple times a week, which is actually nothing compared to our mentor, Brian Boland, who was the owner of Post Mills Airport. He was flying once every 2 days. So we're doing small numbers compared to what he used to do in the winter. It was like his morning therapy.
Wow.
Yeah, and you guys both had some time with some good quality time and lessons and instruction with Brian, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So, well, I'll take you both back to the mid 70s. I was a little kid, 5 or 6 years old. I was living in Connecticut, and we had just moved into this house, and we didn't know our neighbors. We had an unusual neighbor who had a huge barn in Burlington, Connecticut. And I started just kind of poking around a little bit. I mean, I think Mom and Dad were literally still unpacking the U-Haul, and went over to the neighbor's barn and started looking in the windows, and I could hear all kinds of just weird stuff, like huge blowtorches and welding and grinding and weird stuff. And I remember looking into this barn and seeing this hairy creature, this beast of a man who was it just looked like he fell right out of Woodstock. I mean, hippie with a capital H, welding and weaving baskets. And I remember going home and next door I was 50 feet away and saying to my mom, our neighbor is a basket maker, and he makes these huge baskets. And I remember my mom being like, whatever. And I remember at the time his wife, Kathy, came out of the barn and was like, yeah, he's making baskets. Come on in, have a look. And I remember him literally with needle and thread weaving and putting the velvet edges around the edges of these baskets, and all these tanks, these huge tanks around, and learning. And I didn't know what any of this was. And he explained to me, I'm building a basket to go into the bottom of a hot air balloon, and this is how it hooks up. And he just had all of this whacked out weird shit everywhere, kind of like the Post Mills Museum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Pine Drive was the first, museum that Brian built. A lot of the sculptures and exhibits that he had in his house there transferred up here in to Vermont. The Crutch Museum, the Glove Museum, stuff like that. And he's just a lifelong collector and a lifelong basket maker. He quit the weaving program because it got a little too heavy. But he started experimenting with all different types of materials and stuff. Built dozens upon dozens of baskets and lower ends, some incorporating elements of the traditional with wicker designs, and others just going completely off the rails, like the flying snowmobile and the flying picnic table, stuff like that.
Yes, I remember the flying snowmobile and the picnic table and a million other things. The blimp. He had what was it? The albatross thing there. What was that?
Yeah, the Albatross was his first hot air airship, which was incredible. I mean, the amount of engineering to get that right, and I mean they were spot on. I was talking to Kathy just weeks ago, and she said the only thing that they had off was the size of the tail. They didn't scale that properly. But in one try, and this was the kind of guy Brian was, he was able to conceptualize a hot air airship and make one relatively pretty much from scratch without much, pattern, instead of copying a pattern from an actual airship builder. I mean, it was pretty original, and the airship, or the Albatross, was his first one. Inflated it in the armory down in Hartford, Connecticut, and it was the first of many, and some of them pretty significant.
You guys, how do you guys know about Pine Drive? Because that was my street. That's where I lived. That's where I was a little boy.
That's so that's where ballooning kind of started for me. My parents took a ride with one of Brian's students in the '80s, and they used to go back to Pine Drive and hang out after balloon flights. Wearing, they do the inflatable suits, and they drive the funky cars and everything. They were just kind of part of the gang. And eventually my dad built his first hot air balloon, and my mom built the crew. So that's how the whole family started.
That's this
is
freaking awesome.
This is incredible. I was the little boy next door. It's just amazing.
There was a weight once in a while in a basket, correct?
Yes, and I just remember him just. Do you remember the tree growing through the inside of the barn?
Yeah, and you could go inside. You could watch the tree move.
Yeah,
Yeah. We actually Brian's house is no longer there. It rotted into the ground, and I think the tree had something to do with it.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember? Do you guys remember him? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. He had an old VW bus. Well, he had many of them, but there was one. There was one that he was welding. He was cutting the front of the bus off, and he was trying to make the front of a VW bus as the basket of a balloon. Do you remember that?
Which one?
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
I mean, he was a pioneer. He was borderline a madman. I mean, I remember him saying to me as a 5 or 6 year old kid. I remember him saying to me, crouching down with this huge beard, saying to me that he was addicted to ballooning, and that no matter what, that's all he wanted to do. Kathy certainly understood that, you guys certainly knew that. I mean, that's all he lived for, and it's what he died for.
Well, and it sounds like these guys live for it too.
Yeah, it's definitely in your blood. I mean, you guys were taught by the best in the world, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree.
He definitely was a great man.
He said to me one day, and God, who knows? Maybe you guys even know this. He came over and said to my mom, "How much does your son weigh?" And she's like, "Well, I don't know." And he grabbed this scale out of his barn and came over and plopped it on the front yard and said, "Get on this scale." And I got on it. And he was so excited. He's like, "Yes, you're exactly 68 pounds," or whatever I was. I don't remember what it was. 38 pounds. Who gives it? Whatever I weighed is exactly what he was looking for. And he was trying to do some experiment and get some certificate or something with a balloon. And he went up to winding trails. Do you guys remember any of this?
Yeah, it was. What's the park there? The community college, Tunxus, right? It's in the
right.
Tunxus Park.
Yeah, right near Tunxus was this community, this recreational center called Winding Trails. He went up there, driving an old Volkswagen bus, pulls up, and he's like ripping all this equipment out of the bus and saying, and my mom and dad were right there, and it was like a kind of a little bit of a crowd of people that were starting to gather. He's like, "I got to do this quickly before the police get here." and he says to me, "Get in the bag." Do you guys remember this? It was like a red bag, and I had to get in. I stood in this bag, and my mom is right there, and the bag came up to like my shoulders. And he had a white balloon, and he had I believe it was a light bulb that was in the balloon providing the heat source. And he put me up like 200 feet above the pine trees, and I had to stay there for a certain amount of time. And then he pulled it down and ripped it up and put it in his VW bus and flew out of there. Do you guys know any of this? Do you remember this?
No, I'm from Vermont. I only met Brian about 12 years ago.
Okay.
Is that Jordan or
yeah,
Aaron?
Is that Jordan or Aaron?
That's Aaron.
Aaron.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Jordan, do you have any recollection of any of this?
Not that particular event. I mean, I know, I don't know how old you were, but, his son, Jeff, he put up in a hot air balloon at the age of 6, I believe, and flew him over the house for his first solo event, which I can only imagine was traumatizing.
It was. I was either just before Jeff or just after Jeff, and I don't remember. But it was. I think it was part of the same experiment. I mean, it was just. And shame on my mother for allowing this. I mean,
I know.
My God. And then we lost touch. I would say probably in the mid 80s. When I was a teenager, lost touch, and Brian had moved to Vermont. And then I found out sometime, I think in the 90s, that Brian was up here in the whole Post Mills, and we went to the airfield and saw the museum over there, and I walked in there, and I saw all of the sculptures and everything that he's done outside, and obviously knew that he hadn't changed a bit. And he had his balloon festival that he would do over there, I think in May. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys.
Yep. May 19th to the 21st this year.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Is that still happening?
We need to go. We really should go.
Oh, I know. Is it still happening?
Yes, it is. May 19th it starts.
Yeah,
Okay.
through the 21st. We should really go. And
there.
so Aaron told me that he was actually with Brian on his final day. And you're kind of you're continuing on this passion yourself, I'm assuming, just because you love it so much that you just can't help it. I mean, who wouldn't?
Yeah.
But
yeah, there's nothing better.
yeah.
That was a really hard couple of days for me, and I can only imagine how it was for you guys when the news broke that that Brian perished doing what he loved the most. And there was a series of things that that built upon that tragedy, and how it all unfolded and everything. But Aaron, you were there that day, but you weren't in the balloon, right?
No, I was chasing.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow. And he fell to his death right there near the Connecticut River. Am I right?
Correct.
Okay. What a horrible day. What is there anything? What's happening over there at Post Mills? Is there? Admittedly, I have not been over there since. Is there any kind of memorial or anything for Brian?
Well, the whole airport and museum, everything is all still here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're trying to continue the work. We've Brian's partner Tina Foster has started a foundation in his name that's trying to perpetuate kind of the stuff that Brian was doing education wise, environmentally, scientifically, artistically. And we want to kind of create this multi-function space at Post Mills to foster those projects and to really kind of make it a community place.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that, further ballooning, further that. So we got a foundation, you can donate to it and all that. And hopefully we'll have this for many, many years to come and only grow this community out here in Vermont.
Well, I can tell you that my family, Raylene, will be there May 19th through the 21st, and we'll be looking for you guys right when we step foot on there. But what's the name of the foundation? How can we find out more?
So it's the Brian J. Boland Memorial Foundation.
Okay.
And we have you can email us from details. I actually the Tina, Brian's partner, is actually right here. She can probably give you the contact info.
There's no website yet.
Yeah, we're working on the website.
All right.
TMA Vermont, all one word, @gmail.com is the airport email.
All right. One more time. TMA Vermont.
P like post.
Post.
Yep.
TMA,
Yep.
Post Mills Airport, TMA Vermont, all spelled out, all one word, @gmail.com.
Okay.
Nice.
Wow. I got to tell you, I know you guys already know this, but so many people around the world knew Brian, loved Brian. He ran a balloon everywhere. I think he loved ballooning the most in Vermont. Correct me if I'm wrong, but my God, this guy was doing it everywhere. I mean, he was literally addicted to it.
Yeah, I mean, he was doing stuff that nobody else was. I mean, flying more than anyone. I spent some time in the Southwest where the weather's perfect every day, and they weren't flying as much as Brian was till literally every day of his life. He was looking outside and seeing what he could do to get his feet off the ground. And this is a guy that flew everywhere, New Zealand, Australia,
Wow.
Switzerland, France, England, Ireland, Venezuela.
Have you gotten to do any of that?
I went on one classic Brian Boland adventure to Ireland, which was it was
Wow.
awesome. Put
Yeah.
together a great team, and Brian, only Brian specially designed 2 complete balloon systems to bring over to Ireland. He made these balloons that would fold down into luggage, which he developed this over years. These were probably his I think some of his most innovative work in terms of the ability to everything had multiple functions, so 2 complete hot air balloon systems that we were able to carry on as 50-pound packages. There was 4 of us, 4 packages, 2 balloons, and me, Brian, and 2 other friends, including one that was with us today on the chase crew, went to, we drove around Ireland for 10 days in a hatchback, balloons tied to the top of this Ford Focus, flying just in like we were flying just in unbelievable places and, over castles and stuff. And I mean, that was like, this was just a couple of years ago. And, I mean, that was nothing compared to what he was doing back in the day and some of the adventures that he's had, with countless friends around the world,
Were you guys, or were either of you, and Tina too, were any of you guys ever really scared with Brian Boland?
With Brian in the basket?
Yes.
Never. Because with him at the controls, it was like, it could be a crazy situation, a lesson or something like that was way over my head and I'm shaking and I'm, I don't know. And Brian would say, oh, here we go. And he would, as soon as he touched the burner, it was like the weight is off your shoulders. And it was like, I mean, I've seen things that defy science. You're going in one direction, a bad direction at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And he would touch the controls. The balloon would stop, take a sudden turn into this beautiful field where there's a party waiting for you. And it's like, and a ride home,
Yeah.
Only Brian would fly to Maine. He flew to Maine one day. It was like a 4-hour flight. He was trying to get to his 10,000th hour in hot air balloons because he was having trouble sleeping, getting so close, but not quite getting there. So he's like, you know what? I'm just going to start flying for as long as I can. So he flew 4 hours one day out to Gray, Maine. He lands, and within 30 minutes, he has a ride back from Gray, Maine, a whole family. They just packed up their car and were like, yeah, no, we'll drive you 5 hours back to Vermont.
Wow. Wow.
And he'd always have a bottle of champagne at the end that he would have a toast with everyone.
Yeah. It was the thing with Brian was he was sharing the experience with everybody. It wasn't just the passengers in the balloon. It wasn't just the crew. It wasn't just the landowners. It was the barn that he flew over, the party that he flew over, the weird place that he landed.
The lakes and the ponds that he would drag his basket across, the cornfields that he would drag his basket across the top of the corn.
Well, yeah, not through the corn, but over the top of the corn.
Just over the top, yeah. Yeah. And he loved kids. He loved the fact that they were fascinated with what he was doing, whether it was Queechee, whether it was Stowe, the different balloon festivals. I can still see Brian with that leather bomber hat on. You know what I'm talking about, with the earmuffs and the big beard coming out of it, and that look in his eyes. You guys,
he would get that look. He would have that look if he saw like a unique chair on the side of the road.
I know.
It was the wildest thing. It didn't have to be anything incredible. He saw the incredible in like the everyday mundane stuff.
I know.
He's the only person that I saw. He was really big into parades and like going to the 4th of July parade here in town.
Yeah.
And what he would do is he would pull off to the side, watch the whole parade go by, and then join in afterwards. And I'm just like, it was just, he would be in the parade, everybody's looking at him, and he'd be taking pictures of the spectators. It was so funny.
Oh my God.
How about you? Do you, the two of you, or just you, or whoever, do you have a bucket list ride?
Not particularly. I mean, we have ideas and we're experimenting with different things. We're not quite as crazy as Brian, but
I think there's a good number of Vermonters, me among them, this morning that saw this balloon going overhead. I know
you were in awe.
I know my wife was, because she called me. My God, there's a balloon up in there. Who's ballooning during the winter time? People don't do that. It's 20 degrees outside. We're looking at you guys were what, 1,500 feet up?
About 12,000 feet.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow.
12,000. I don't know what 12,000 feet looks
JD
like.
wants to go up one of these days, just so you know. Like that's like a dream of his since he was a little kid and rode in the little red bag.
Yes, yes. and you as well, Raylene. But I mean, do you guys bring the people with you?
I mean, we right now we're kind of we're flying for fun mostly. We're doing experimental stuff. There are commercial ride operators in Vermont and everything that do a good job and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're kind of capturing the passion of it.
Sure.
That's our main focus at this point.
What time did you guys leave Crown Point this morning, and what time did you land in Piermont, New Hampshire?
It was about 10 minutes of 7 when we lifted off, and I don't remember what time
we tied the knot on the bag at 10 o'clock, so about 9:30 or so.
In Piermont.
Wow.
So generally very calm winds this morning. But, I'm curious, can you steer? I mean, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but can you steer a balloon? Can you say the goal is Piermont? I know the field that I want to put down in, and we're going to aim for it. Can you do that? Or is it just a crapshoot?
We were shooting for New Hampshire.
Okay. Anywhere. Hopefully not on the beach right up against the crashing waves.
Right.
But are you able to steer, though? Are you able to kind of navigate a balloon a little bit?
With the winds aloft, you kind of have to feel it out. You generally don't know, but you get a general direction of the winds from the weather, and different altitudes or the wind changes direction, and that's pretty much how you steer.
Me and Aaron try to do this thing where we'll take off here at the airport without chase, which is an old Brian staple. This is what he did every day, flying in his own personal balloon. And we'll take off and we'll try to fly for as long as we can or as far out as we can and make it back to the airport. Because if we miss, we're walking back.
Right.
And we've nailed it. We landed about 200 yards from where we took off this winter. And then we've also landed 26 miles from where we took off.
Gosh.
Oh my God. Wow.
It's just awesome.
I can just see you guys snowshoeing through the woods, dragging a balloon behind you in a basket.
Yeah, we got to give a shout out to the kombucha salesman in West Corinth who picked us up and drove us back to Fairleigh.
This morning?
Yeah, Mama's Bucha. You got to look it up.
Nice.
God, that's so cool. What was the temperature in that balloon? I mean, just glancing up there this morning and seeing that, I was like, if there are people in that balloon, they are chilly.
It was about 28 to 32.
Well, that's not bad.
No. Well, talking about cold and Brian's dedication, he would fly in 30, 32 below.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
We draw the line at 10 below.
Yeah, 10 below. That's where I would draw the line, too.
Well,
my gosh.
I mean,
do you feel any heat from the balloon at all?
There is a little bit, but you're moving with the wind, so you don't have any wind chill factor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
We spent a good part of the morning. I mean, I think there were a few people that were spending a good part of the morning trying to figure out if I was okay, because I was telling everyone there was a Chinese surveillance balloon that was going over central Vermont. But we spent a good part of the morning trying to figure out what was this? What was this balloon? Was this a recreational balloon? And kudos to Bonnie Flint, because I think she was the one that kind of called you guys up here and said, I think it's Aaron.
Yeah.
And then Aaron chimed in, and
Yeah.
that's how I was able to get in touch with him. So I mean, it's awesome.
I hope you guys are able to come into the studio sometime. We have a studio right on North Main Street in Barrie, right in the city. it would be great to have you guys to meet you face to face and have you share a microphone with us. But I could tell you that Jordan, are you going to be up here in Vermont on May 19th?
I'll be here. I'll be here for sure. We'll keep an eye on the winds aloft forecast to see when the winds are heading towards Barrie.
All right. Please do. And how many balloons are going up on that weekend? Do we know?
So there's no RSVP required, for this event. It's just, the only requirement is really it's got to be an experimental balloon, a home-built balloon. And they come from all over the world, and some people call us and let them know they're coming. Some people just show up, and we're really excited because there's, we've kind of through the grapevine, we've heard that there's some kind of exciting stuff going on in the community. Some new balloons being built. It's really cool. There's actually a group down in Connecticut, students of Brian, who took his plans, a copy of which I actually have right in front of me, his hot air balloon plans, which he used to design and sell, and they're building Bolin balloons, brand new Bolin balloons.
Wow.
They'll take to the event and kind of have them christened here at the Bolin Balloon Factory,
I can't wait. I mean, no surprise. I mean, Brian was the godfather.
Oh
Yeah, indeed.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm so I'm lucky that Bonnie called you guys out. I'm lucky that Raylene found you and you guys were chatting. I wasn't even aware of it, that you guys were having a conversation and connected on Facebook today, and that we have finally unsolved this mystery of what in the hell was that over the skies in central Vermont this morning. Two balloonists who truly love what they do, and you certainly can understand the reasons behind why Brian was so hooked on ballooning. You guys are yourselves, it seems like. And Jordan, you're an airline pilot?
Yeah. So I got a big boy job, I guess, is what Brian would say. But the heart is in balloons still. Even when I'm up there, I'm thinking about the next flight, and that's kind of where all this started. Was I felt a little boxed in, and I just kind of saw that the winds were looking good for a Vermont hop, and called up Aaron, was like, let's make it happen, and he did.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Guys, it is so fantastic to have you on the air with us. I got goosebumps on the goosebumps, especially talking about Pine Drive and Brian Boland and in his start in Connecticut, and what he has not only brought to Vermont, but what he has brought to the art, the science, the passion behind recreational hot air ballooning around the world, not just here in little New England, but everywhere. It's an absolute pleasure and honor to have both of you on. Thank you ever so much for your time. Thank you, Raylene, for tracking these boys down.
Thank you to Bonnie so much.
Bonnie Flint and others. I think Chantel was one that saw the balloon this morning, too.
Yeah.
A lot of people did, but a lot of people didn't. And now they have confirmation that I am not batshit crazy.
No, they don't have confirmation of that.
Yeah.
Sorry. They know they have confirmation of a balloon. They do not have confirmation that you're not batshit crazy.
McKeegan Stone is saying, Aaron, that you have two special angels watching over you with a big smile. So we got a lot of comments coming in, and we urge you to go back and give a watch, give a listen, give a share, and spread it. You guys are rock stars, and it's just I love to see people embracing life and just saying, screw it. We're going to get up early in the morning. Yeah. We're going to fly from New York to New Hampshire, and we're going to do it. And it doesn't matter if it's January, February, March, April. It doesn't matter. We're doing it. I love that you guys are living life like we all should be.
And we need to say that we have a pretty broad audience and a pretty large audience, and we would love to share and promote any of this stuff that you have going on over there at Post Mills. You know, keep us posted, keep in touch, because we'd love to help out all that we can. And we'd love to see you guys sometime. I mean, that would just be great.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, boys.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
We appreciate it.
Have a great night.
Thanks, you as well.
Wow. Isn't that cool?
It is cool.
That's what it's all about right there.
It is cool.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So, thanks to everyone watching, listening. Give a share on this one this morning. But, paying tribute to, like I said, the godfather of ballooning, Brian Boland. Jordan and Aaron, the two pilots that were flying overhead early this morning in central Vermont. Little black dot in the sky that had a lot of people wondering,
what is that?
what is this now? Is this another surveillance camera? Are we being watched? Is it the Russians? No, it's not the Russians. It's Aaron and Jordan.
That's right. That's who it is. Yes.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for catching the show.
Have a great night.
Thanks, Raylene. And we'll catch you again tomorrow morning right here on Aired Out.